The moment I realized I'd wasted my whole life was when a man I'd never met nodded his head. Not a full nod, just a small one. A gentle agreement with someone else's dismissal of everything I'd ever done. I'm sitting in a leather chair that costs more than I made in a month back when I was working. The chair is the color of cognac. Everything in this office is designed to make you feel small. The ceiling is high. The windows are oversized. The desk is carved from something that probably came from a tree older than my business ever was. That's intentional. That's how lawyers work. They make their space bigger than you, so you'll agree to things. So you'll feel less entitled to disagree. So you'll feel grateful for whatever scraps they leave you. My brother Michael sits across from me. He's wearing a suit that probably costs what I paid for my first car. His shoes are Italian. I know because he told me. He always tells me about his things. His watch is a Rolex. His briefcase is leather. His pen costs more than my monthly grocery bill. He wears these things like armor, like evidence that his life matters more than mine. The lawyer, his name is David something, is shuffling papers. He's wearing a suit too, but his is different. His is authority. There's a photograph on his desk of him with his daughter. Ivy League school, I'd guess. Maybe Yale. Maybe Princeton. Everything about this office screams success. Everything about me screams, I don't belong here. Michael leans forward. His voice is measured, like he's making a business case. Like he's presenting a quarterly report to shareholders. Like he's not talking about our father. Like he's not talking about me. What did he contribute? That's what Michael says. Not to me, to the lawyer. Like I'm not even there. Like I'm part of the furniture. Like I'm something that was moved into this room by mistake. The lawyer nods. Just that one small nod. Head moving down, then back up. A gesture that takes maybe half a second. A gesture that says yes, that's a reasonable question. Yes, I see your point. Yes, your brother probably didn't contribute much. I feel it in my chest first. Not my head, my chest. Like someone reached in and grabbed something vital and held it. Like the air is suddenly harder to breathe. Like the room is getting smaller. I'm 68 years old. I've lived a full life. I've been married. I've buried my wife. I've built something with my own hands. I've helped people. I've given away my own money to family members who forgot they ever needed it. I've volunteered for a decade. I've made a difference in people's lives. And in that moment, in that leather chair, in that office that smells like old money and new air conditioning, I am being erased. The lawyer says something about the will distribution, something about how it's equitable, how our father's estate is divided equally between us. But his nod is still hanging in the air. It's louder than anything he's saying. Michael says he understands, but he thinks it's worth noting that some people have built careers. Some people have made something of themselves. He's not saying I haven't. He's very careful not to say that. He's a consultant. He knows how to make a devastating point without stating it directly. He's just saying that some people have done more with their lives than others. Some people have more to show for their years. Some people have accomplishments that are measurable. Some people have titles. Some people have corporate offices and business cards with embossed lettering. Some people matter in ways that the world recognizes. And some people, he implies, do not. The lawyer is nodding again. I want to tell him to stop. I want to say stop nodding at my brother like he's speaking truth. Stop nodding like you agree. Stop nodding like my life is a question that has an answer, and the answer is not enough. Stop nodding like you've never known someone like me. Like you've never watched your parents love someone else more. Like you've never stayed awake calculating the difference between what you gave and what you received. Like you've never felt the particular shame of being invisible to your own family. But I don't say anything. I sit in the cognac chair, and I feel 68 years old for the first time in my life. Not like I've lived 68 years. Like I've wasted them. Like every year was a mistake. Like I should have been different. Harder, more ambitious. Less kind. That was 6 weeks ago. It's November now. I'm in my kitchen in suburban Chicago, in the house I bought with my own money, in a neighborhood I chose because it had good bones and good people. This neighborhood hasn't changed much in 40 years. The trees are bigger now. The people are older. My kitchen has blue tiles. They're from a Portuguese company. They have a pattern that looks like small waves. Martha picked them out in 1989. We spent an entire Saturday in that tile shop, just the two of us. We looked at hundreds of options. Beige tiles, white tiles, tiles with flowers, tiles with geometric patterns. We were there for hours, completely absorbed in this simple decision about something that would last. And then we found these blue ones with the wave pattern. We were so happy that day. We were picking out tiles like we had forever. I haven't taken them out. I've had chances to renovate. Contractors have come by. They've suggested modern upgrades. Open concept kitchen, stainless steel appliances, marble countertops. People ask why I don't modernize. The tiles are dated, they say. But those tiles are the only thing Martha left behind that I haven't touched. Everything else is gone. Her clothes are gone. Her jewelry is gone. Her pictures are in boxes. Her voice is just a memory now. 17 years of memory. But the tiles are still there. The tiles are the most honest thing in my life. They've held up. They're still beautiful. They're still blue. Martha's still gone, but the tiles are still there. I'm making coffee. It's 5 in the morning. I haven't slept much since the lawyer's office. I lie in bed and replay that moment. The nod. The small, dismissive nod. The gesture that said everything that needed to be said. I told myself I wouldn't think about it anymore. I told myself that it didn't matter what Michael thinks. I told myself that my father's will is what my father wanted, and that should be enough. But it's not enough. Because the question is still hanging there. What did you contribute? What did you contribute? What did you contribute? Let me tell you what I contributed. I contributed 35 years to a hardware store on Milwaukee Avenue. 35 years. That's longer than most marriages last. That's longer than most careers. I opened it in 1984. I was 27 years old. I had $12,000 saved up. I'd worked 3 jobs to get that money. I'd skipped vacations. I'd said no to social events. I'd driven a car that broke down every other month. I'd skipped meals sometimes. My father loaned me another $8,000. He believed in me. I paid him back every penny in 3 years. I worked 6 days a week. I closed on Sundays because my mother said no man should work 7 days. I opened at 7 in the morning and closed at 6, except Saturdays, when I closed at 8, because that's when people had time to think about their homes. That's when they'd come in after a week of work. That's when they'd have ideas about projects. That's when they need someone to help them figure out if they could build what they were imagining. I contributed the day Michael called me from Northwestern. He was 22. He was panicking. He said he'd failed a class, a core requirement. He said his scholarship might be in jeopardy. He said his future was disappearing. He said he didn't know what to do. I drove to his apartment. It took 3 hours. I left the store in the middle of the day. I drove to Northwestern, and I sat with him at his kitchen table. He owed $3,200 for the spring semester. If he didn't pay it, he wouldn't register for fall. His life would pause. His future would stall. I gave him a check. I told him not to tell my parents. I told him to focus on school. I told him his job was to get the degree. My job was to make sure he could. He finished Northwestern. He got his degree in business administration. He got a job at Deloitte. He got promoted twice. He became a consultant. He made a lot of money. He forgot about the $3,200. Or maybe he just decided it didn't matter anymore. I contributed the day Michael called me again. It was 1998. He was crying. This is important. My brother was crying. His wife had left him. She'd taken their daughter. She said he was never home. She said he chose work over his family. She said she couldn't do it anymore. He asked me if I could help. He said he needed money for a lawyer. He said he needed it to fight for custody. He said he wanted to see his daughter every day, but he didn't have the money for a good lawyer. He said he was desperate. He said I was the only person who could help him. I gave him $50,000. $50,000. I didn't have $50,000, but I had it. I had built it. I had saved it over years and years of small choices and careful sacrifices. I had it because I worked 6 days a week and didn't take vacations and drove the same car for 9 years and lived modestly. I had choices to make. I could have renovated the store. I could have closed on Saturdays. I could have taken a vacation. I could have lived a different kind of life. But I gave him the money instead. He used that money. He got a good lawyer. He fought for his daughter. He didn't get full custody, but he got more time. He got weekends. He got holidays. He got a chance to be in his daughter's life. He kept that money. He never paid me back. He never offered to. He said thank you once, but it was perfunctory. It was the way you say thank you when someone passes the salt. He just had the money, and then he didn't mention it again. I let it go. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself that helping my brother was worth more than $50,000. I told myself that family is what matters. I contributed to his life so completely that he forgot I'd done it. I contributed the day my father called me. It was 2001. He was 65. He was tired. He was tired in the way that people get tired when they've been working for 40 years and they can't see the end. He asked me if I would come work with him at his accounting practice. He said the business was growing and he needed help. He said nobody in the family had the head for numbers like I did. I told him I couldn't. I told him about the store. I told him I was building something. I told him I was sorry, and I was sorry. He understood, but I think a part of him died that day. He got someone else to help. My mother told me later that he was sad. She said he'd hoped I would say yes. She said he wanted to work with his son. She said he saw Michael going into the corporate world and he saw me staying local. But I couldn't. I had commitments. I had employees who depended on me. I had a store that was starting to succeed. I think he never forgave me. I think he saw Michael's corporate success and thought this is what matters. This is what a son becomes. I think he saw my store and thought this is what happens when you stay small. Michael says I never did anything with my life. Michael says his career matters. Michael's career is impressive. I don't deny that. Michael is a senior partner at his firm now. He makes millions. He has a house that could hold my house inside it. He has a wife who works in television. She's on the news sometimes. He has a life that looks like something. A life that photographs well. A life that translates into status. My store closed in 2005. My knees couldn't handle it anymore. I was only 48, but my knees were 60. My back was 70. I'd been on my feet for 21 years. Every morning I'd get up and I'd feel my knees before I felt anything else. I'd stand and the pain would radiate from my knees up through my hips and into my lower back. By 5 o'clock every day, I was just counting down until I could sit down. I sold the store to one of my employees. He'd worked for me for 15 years. His name is Carlos. He came to me as a young man. He was nervous. He spoke English with an accent. He was intimidated by the customers. He was intimidated by everything. I trained him. I taught him not just how to run the register, but how to talk to customers. How to listen. How to remember that the woman buying paint was painting a bedroom for her granddaughter. How to remember that the man buying wood was building something he'd dreamed about for years. I taught him that every customer had a story. I taught him that his job was to help them tell that story. I taught him that work meant something. Carlos runs that store now. He treats people the way I taught him to. He closes on Sundays. He opens at 7 in the morning. He remembers customers' names. He's built a life there. I haven't been back in 3 years. After I sold the store, I had nothing to do. Martha was already sick by then. She was forgetting things. She was leaving the stove on. She was asking me the same question 3 times in an hour. I stayed home with her. I took care of her. I learned how to give her medications. I learned how to be patient. I learned how to love someone who is disappearing. I learned that love means showing up, even when showing up is all you can do. She died in 2008. I was 51. I felt 90. After she died, I had a lot of time. I had a pension from the store. It wasn't much, but it was enough. I had a house that was paid for. I filled my time with volunteer work. I taught financial literacy classes at the community center. I helped people understand mortgages and retirement accounts and how to build a life that doesn't collapse when one thing goes wrong. I did that for 10 years. I gave that to people for free because I wanted to give something back, because I wanted to matter. I wanted to leave something behind. Last year, I got a phone call. It was Carlos. He was calling to tell me that a young man came into the store. The young man was the grandson of one of my customers from 20 years ago. The grandson said his grandfather had died, and he'd found a note in his grandfather's things. The note was handwritten. The note said, "This store saved my life." The man who runs it, Roy, he listened to me when nobody else did. He helped me understand that I could build something. He helped me believe in myself. That note was folded and worn. It had been carried around for 2 decades. It had been read many times. The folds were soft from being opened and closed so many times. Carlos thought I should know that. I cried when he told me. I sat on my kitchen floor with the blue tiles, and I cried because someone I de-helped 40 years ago had kept a note about me, had thought of me as someone who mattered, had told his grandson about me, had made me real enough to remember. That matters. That should matter. That should matter more than a lawyer's nod. But I'm learning something about getting older. I'm learning that the world doesn't measure things the way you do. The world measures what you accumulated. The world measures your title and your salary and your house and your car. The world measures the things Michael has. The world looks at a man who sold a hardware store at 48 and thinks he failed. He couldn't make it work. He had to get out. The world never knew about the note. The world never knew about the young man whose grandfather believed in himself because I believed in him first. The world never knew about the customer who came in every Saturday for 15 years and learned to trust again after his wife left him. The world never knew about any of it. Michael knew. Michael's career mattering means the world sees him. Michael's success is visible. Michael's name is in trade magazines. Michael's accomplishments are quantifiable. Michael gets to exist in the world as someone who matters. What did I contribute? I contributed to invisible people. I contributed to people who had nowhere else to go. I contributed to my brother, and he forgot it. I contributed to my father, and he resented me for not contributing enough. The lawyer nodded because Michael was speaking the language the lawyer understands. The language of achievement, the language of ambition, the language of more. I don't speak that language. I never did. My father spoke it. My mother spoke it, actually. She was ambitious for her children. Michael speaks it. I've spent my whole life feeling like I'm translating, like I'm trying to explain myself in words that don't quite fit, like my life is being described in a language I didn't agree to speak. I want to be angry about that. I want to blame them. I want to blame the lawyer for nodding. I want to blame Michael for his question. I want to blame my father for never saying what you're doing matters. I want to blame my mother for always looking at Michael with such pride. I want to blame myself for not being enough. But I'm learning something else about getting older. I'm learning that anger is expensive. I'm learning that holding on to resentment is like carrying a stone around in your chest. I'm learning that I don't have time for it anymore. I'm 68 years old. I don't know how much time I have left. I don't know if I have 20 years or 5 years, or if I'm going to live to be 95 and spend all that time replaying that moment in the lawyer S office. But I know I don't want to spend what time I have being angry at people for not seeing me. So I'm doing something different. I called the community center. I told them I want to expand my financial literacy classes. I want to add a new program. I want to teach people how to build a life that means something. Not a life that looks impressive. A life that is. A life where you show up, where you listen, where you remember people's names, where you give without keeping score. They said yes. I said January. I said I want to start the new year with something new. I also called Michael. I told him I wanted to have coffee. He seemed surprised. He probably thought I was calling to confront him. We met at a coffee shop halfway between our houses. It's in a strip mall next to a dry cleaner and a cell phone store. It's not impressive. It's exactly the kind of place Michael probably doesn't usually go. He usually goes to expensive restaurants where they know his name. I ordered coffee. Black. Michael ordered a cappuccino with an extra shot. He asked how I was. It was a polite question. He wasn't really asking. I told him I understood what he was saying at the lawyer's office. I told him that I know my life looks small compared to his. I told him that I know I didn't accomplish what he accomplished. I told him that I'm aware of that. He looked uncomfortable. He said he didn't mean it like that. He said he was just trying to understand the will distribution. He said it seemed unfair that we got equal shares when we'd contributed unequally. I told him he was right. I told him we did contribute unequally. I told him that he contributed more in the way the world measures contribution. I told him that his career is impressive and his success is real. Then I told him something else. I told him that I contributed differently. I told him that I contributed to his education. I told him that I gave him $50,000 when his marriage fell apart and that I never asked for it back. I told him that I gave to people for decades without keeping score. I told him that I wasn't looking for him to feel guilty. I wasn't looking for him to apologize. I was just looking for him to understand that I did contribute, that my contribution just looked different than his. He got quiet. He drank his cappuccino. He looked out the window at the strip mall. Then he said something unexpected. He said I forgot about the $50,000. I said I know. He said, I didn't forget on purpose. It was so long ago. I've made so much money since then that I forgot I didn't have it at first. I said I know that too. We sat there for a while. Neither of us said anything. We just drank our coffee and existed in the same space without fighting. That felt like something. That felt like maybe something could change. He didn't offer to pay me back. He didn't apologize for the lawyer's office. He didn't say that my life wasn't small, but he did say something. He said, I'm glad you had something to give. I'm glad I had someone who could help me. That's not much. It's not an apology. It's not a recognition of sacrifice. It's just an acknowledgement that the help existed, that it mattered. I'll take it. I'm sitting in my kitchen right now. It's 6 a.m. The sun is starting to come up. The blue tiles are catching the light. They're glowing. Martha picked these tiles out 36 years ago. She's been gone for 17 years. The tiles are still here. They're still beautiful. They're still blue. I'm going to spend today the way I spend most days now. I'm going to have breakfast. I'm going to call Carlos and ask him how the store is doing. I'm going to prepare for my financial literacy class. I'm going to call someone from my church and see if they need anything. I am going to exist in a life that doesn't look like much from the outside, but that feels like everything from the inside. The lawyer's nod is still there. I haven't forgotten it. But it doesn't live in my chest anymore. It lives somewhere quieter, somewhere I can look at it without bleeding. Michael asked me what I contributed. The lawyer nodded like it was a reasonable question. And I'm here to tell you, it's not a question that has an answer. Not a single answer. Not an answer that fits into a spreadsheet or a will or a conversation in a lawyer's office. I contributed to people. I contributed to moments. I contributed to the kind of life that doesn't show up on a balance sheet. I contributed to quietness and presence, and the kind of love that doesn't expect anything back. I know that sounds small. I know that sounds like rationalization. But if you're listening to this, and you're over 50, and you've spent your life giving without keeping score, and you've watched other people accumulate and succeed and become visible in ways you never did, then you know what I'm talking about. You know how it feels when the world tells you that your kind of life doesn't count. You know how it feels when someone you love asks you what you did with your time, and you cut and point anything they will recognize as success. You know how it feels when the lawyer nods. And I want to tell you, you're not small. Your contribution matters. The people you've helped remember you. The customers you treated with dignity remember you. The children you raised remember you. The moment you listened when someone needed listening, that moment changed something. That moment changed them. You won't see it on a spreadsheet. You won't hear it acknowledged in a lawyer's office. You won't have it measured against your brother's career or your sister as accomplishments or the kind of life that looks impressive from the outside. But it's there. It's real. It's the thing that holds the world together when nobody's looking. It's the thing that makes life mean something. And that's worth something. That's worth everything. I'm going to make more coffee now. The sun is all the way up. The blue tiles are bright. It's a new day. I don't know what it will bring, but I know I'll show up for it. I know I'll listen to people. I know I'll give what I have to give. I know I'll do the work that doesn't count, the work that doesn't get measured, the work that matters most. That's what I contributed. That's what I'm still contributing. And I'm not sorry about it anymore.